Welcome to the Whiskey Vault. I'm Daniel Winnington, Chancellor of Wizard Academy and Whiskey Marketing School, and today is Gifted Drams, where we drink something that a brand sent to us, or technically a PR company sent to us. And a full disclosure, I'm gonna get their booklet really quick. Full disclosure, I love Westland, have always loved Westland. I'm friends with people that work at Westland and consider them real friends and have no possibility of being objective about a brand like Westland because I love them. So, duly noted for both sides here. This I'm excited about. So, Garryana releases, and all I know about this is it says Garryana. As always, I try to go into these releases as blind as I possibly can, and then read their notes afterwards. This is, all I saw when I picked this up was Garryana 9th. And what that is the 9th time they've done a Garryana release. Now, Garryana, I already know, is a species of oak native to the Pacific Northwest, from Northern California up into Washington State, sort of along the coastline. It was a savanna, like open plains kind of parts of the West Coast, and was largely wiped out to make room for farmland. But it is an actually unique oak species, and they started using it a decade ago to try to get something truly local, because Westland is very serious about trying to figure out how to get as local provenance as they possibly can, including peat from Washington. I'm going to give you all the details of what's in this in a second, and then some personal discussion about it. But first, let's smell it and see what we're dealing with. So Westland always has this, on the specialty things, has this note to me that I just truly love, which is like a chocolate, a dark chocolate note that's somewhere between actual dark chocolate and randomly Cocoa Puffs. Like the chocolate smell of Cocoa Puff cereal. And then around that, a sort of a dry tannic experience, a sweet almond. Like this right here is a lot of like amaretto pound cake, like almonds, candied almonds, but bready. Oh, amaretto pound cake. That's the dream, man. Anyway, I have an addiction to the super cheesy, wrapped in cellophane box of amaretto pound cake that you can buy at like World Market, and you used to sell it at Trader Joe's once a year. And I could eat that whole dense packed loaf in like one sitting. It's so good. Oh man, there's a lot going on in here. It is nutty, it is almondy, which is, you know, it's amaretto-y, it is slightly dry and spicy, a little bit tannic, it's chocolate, it's dense pastry. This whiskey. Oh yeah, it's all of those exact same things in the palate. Westland, whoever's blending Westland, I can't remember who it is, but Westland has this magical ability to just really nail the nose-palate combo of being like, nose sets you up, palate delivers. A lot of whiskeys have fractured noses and palates, or a beautiful nose but a mediocre palate, or a kind of tightly held dense nose but a really magical opening on the palate. Westland always says, here's what we're going to do for you in the nose, and then you take a sip and it goes, see? And I've always loved that about Westland. It's just a beautifully balanced delivery from start to finish. Garryana is interesting. I'm starting to get some earthy notes starting to come through now, a little bit more notes that match the color green in my head. Good God, that's good. Okay, I'm gonna actually read what we've got going on now. And add a little water and see what happens. This is at 50%, 100 proof. So, according to the write-up, I already told you about the Garryana oak. They talk about that. Oh, they use Oloroso sherry casks as well as the Gary oak cask. Okay, that's probably where the almond's coming from. It's minimum 5 years old. The grain bill is Washington Select Pale Malt, Munich Malt, Extra Special Malt, Pale Chocolate Malt, and Brown Malt. Cask types are Virgin Garryana, First Fill Bourbon, First Fill Oloroso Sherry Butt. The yeast strain is Belgian brewer's yeast, and the fermentation time is 96 hours to 144 hours. That's some serious action going on right there. They sent this booklet with it, and it's their whole story of Westland, which is cool. The outpost range. But I wanted to jump to their Garryana section because that's where they talked about Westland's been trying to help sustainably develop and rebuild some of the Garryana oak land and reclaim some territory. And they talked about the wood being brittle, twisted, and prone to checking, which is, the cut lines that makes it really hard to make staves, right? Balcones had the same problem with live oak, but my understanding is even more so. And so it takes a lot of pieces of a Garryana oak tree to get down to the ones that will be useful for staves, and a fairly low ratio of wood to functional stave. But the flavor profile is dramatic. And there's some really great pictures in here. I will give this to Mike and he can decide whether or not he wants to put any of these up here, but it shows some of the original habitat, and then it shows, the current status, pre and post all of the harvesting of the oak and that they're trying to restore. And it's very interesting. But I do remember one thing that was cool to me. Jared at Balcones, Jared and I were talking, and it was right after they had released their live oak, and I feel like I told this story already on the live oak episode, but I'm gonna tell it again. He had said, I remember when they first started releasing Garryana, and Jared's friends with all these guys, right? This is a community. So I remember when they first released Garryana, and I was so excited to try it, and then I found out that the percentage of true virgin Garryana oak in the blend was pretty low, and I was disappointed because, come on, man, if you call it Garryana, let's release Garryana. And he said, I wasn't mad about it, but I was a little bit like, oh, you blended in some Garryana. It felt like cheating. He said, and then Balcones got to where they were releasing their live oak one, where they did the same thing, but with Texas live oak. And he said, we went to blend it, and that first live oak aging was rough. And he says, we realized the only way we can release this and make it drinkable is if we blend it in to things that accent all of the things that the live oak was blending in and let you see what the live oak brought to the table, but we balance it to make an actually drinkable, delicious product. And he said, on that day, I understood what Westland was having to figure out, which is how do we show you what Garryana is capable of, but also make you a delicious whiskey. And I love that story. And I think that it is truly the heart of both of those distilleries and a lot of the early groundbreaking malt makers in America having to figure out how to do something interesting and new that Scotland's not doing and Ireland's not doing, that's native to their own territory, but also give you something that the general consumer can appreciate. And I think Garryana, at least this edition 9th, just threads that needle gloriously. I love this one. Solum to date is my favorite Westland that I've ever had. This edition of the Garryana is going to be head and shoulders right next to it. Okay, so with that little bit of water, chocolate biscuit. Like if you've ever taken an Oreo and taken it and then eaten the cream and then just eat the chocolate biscuit part of the Oreo, it's chocolate biscuit mixed with super sherry, like Oloroso almonds. Amaretto chocolate biscuit. Oh, and then it just became amaretto and cream with an aftertaste of that malty chocolate note. Gosh, that's great. I like it better without the water, but it's really great either way. Man. Cheers to you, Westland. Thank you for continuing to make really delicious whiskey. And to you, I hope you enjoyed. I will see you next week, and I'm really glad you're here. This episode was blended with Daniel's opinions about whiskey, along with PR merch announcements, to a beautiful, lovely finish. And if you enjoyed that, you should like and subscribe.